is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
All right, guys, today I'm here with Christine Romanow. How are you, Christine?
I'm great.
Thank you so much. We are Spring Break Art Show Day 1. Congratulations on such a fabulous booth. Can you tell us a little bit about the work you're exhibiting here?
So everything that I create is based on infinity, and the circle is the ultimate expression of infinity. Not that we'll ever experience it as humans. But I work with rotational symmetry and sacred geometry. So each of these pieces starts from a very similar drawing. Sometimes it ends up being a wood sculpture, sometimes it's ceramics, sometimes it's 3D printed. So I'm working with a lot of different materials and a lot of different techniques. And
I have to say I love the amount of color and amount of the medium that you use. It's such an attention grabbing. Can you tell us about your creative process? What is it like for you? Like, how do ideas come to you?
I read a lot of cosmology, physics. I'm a big fan of Roger Penrose.
Oh, wow.
I love his theory of the cyclical universe. How there's one big bang that flows into the next, that flows into the next.
Yeah.
I think it mimics life. You know, you have cycles.
Yeah.
And things come and go and ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of infinite, you know. It's kind of a comfort for me.
Yeah.
My mom died last year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But, you know, it's that cyclical nature of things
Yeah.
that kind of gave me
Circle
a lot of comfort.
of life. Yeah,
the
yeah.
circle of life. So that's kind of what my work is about and where the inspiration comes from. You know,
wow.
It's kind of like an infinite obsession with infinity.
Yeah. And how are you able, like, how do you keep track of your ideas? Do you write it down? Do you draw everything?
I draw everything digitally.
Okay.
And then I have like a folder on my computer, which is lots and lots and lots of digital drawings.
Yeah.
And sometimes I come up with a new one, or I go back to old ones and, refresh the ideas. Sometimes I draw something digitally, and I don't know how it's going to manifest,
Yeah.
in the actual world. A lot of people are trying to get their art to look like the world. I'm trying to get
to create a portal almost, it seems.
Exactly. I kind of work in reverse.
Yeah.
I create something digitally and then have to kind of manifest it in the real world where people kind of make a drawing and then, you know what I mean? It's kind of, I'm working opposite. But
I love that.
Yeah.
And do you have any like studio rituals? Like when you get to the studio, are you able to sit down and get to work right away? Do you have to have a coffee, read the newspaper, meditate?
Well, it's important to have lunch with my mates.
Yes.
So I'm at Manufacturers Village in East Orange.
Okay.
So it's a studio complex. It was built in the 1880s, so the original Johnson & Johnson factory.
Oh, wow.
We just recently formed a nonprofit, but there's about 65 artists.
That's amazing.
So on my floor, there's about 8 of us. So every day we sit down, we have lunch.
Oh, wow,
whoever's
that's
there,
so cool,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So we have lunch, we talk about the art of the day or politics or whatever.
Yeah.
We have like a great lunch. It's great to have those people around to kind of bring into your studio
Yeah.
your practice so intimately. When you're veering off, they're like, hey, come
That's
back,
so cool.
or that's good, or I think it pushes your practice forward so much more to have other artists around you.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. Do you find that like helpful for your practice?
Absolutely. I tried out laser cutting steel.
Yeah.
Right. So I went over to this other artist in the other building, Tom Nussbaum, who does a lot of public art and he does a lot of steel. I was like, Tom, what do I do with this? He's like, oh, you got to grind that down. Here, here's how you do it.
Yeah.
The ceramics, for example. There's another artist on my floor, Ruth Borganite, who's like a master ceramicist, and she was like, "Oh, I'll teach you how to do it."
Oh, that's amazing.
So
it's like fame school, but for the art.
Yeah.
Literally for the artist, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for my fellow artists.
That's amazing. I have to say, I love how your personal style translates to your art and vice versa, because normally sometimes it's so diverse or like separate or different. It's really cool. It's like you're an extension of your artwork in a way. And I'm so fascinated by your work and your story. I totally forgot to ask you about your Instagram. Can you share your Instagram, please?
It's CS Romanel.
Okay, perfect. So everybody listening, please check out her work. It's amazing. And do you have anything coming up after spring break?
Yes, there is a big open studio event at Manufacturers Village. There'll be 65 artists.
Awesome. When is that?
It's October 19th and 20th.
October 19th.
The weekend from 12 to 5.
12 to 5. And do you want to share your studio number, whoever's listening?
Yes, I'm in Building 1.
Building
on the
1?
Second floor.
And that's in East Orange.
East Orange,
that's in New Jersey?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. Yeah, that's
New
very
Jersey.
cool. I'll definitely try to make it if I'm in the East Coast then.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It's been a pleasure. Please follow her. Of course. It was a pleasure meeting you. Look out for all the cool stuff she's being a part of, and thanks again, Christine.
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online. This is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
All right, guys, today I'm here at Spring Break Art Show with Sarah Angel Wilson. Did I get it right?
You got it right,
Thank you so much. Do you mind? How are you today, Sarah?
I'm good. I'm sort of ramping up, readying my social skills to be able to talk to lots and lots of people.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure you're going to do amazing because this is a wonderful booth. I love it so much already.
Thank you.
And I have to say your business cards are so cool. I'm going to share them on Instagram.
Oh, thanks so much. I just cut them all out by hand this morning. So.
Oh, wow. Do you mind sharing your Instagram so people can check your work as they listen to your episode?
Yeah, for sure. So it's Sarah Angel Wilson. And Angel is spelled Angle, and it's Sarah with an H.
Love that. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the booth you have here?
Yeah, for sure. So this is my second year participating in Spring Break. Last year I sort of had a room, so obviously Spring Break is an office building, and then artists take over one floor of it. So last year I had sort of an office meeting room, and this year I'm part of the Artist Spotlight section, which is just directly across from all of the sectioned off rooms. So I sort of learned that I was not going to be having walls, which for me, all of my work is wall hanging sculpture.
Yeah.
So obviously that was, a little bit of a panic moment. So basically I spent the last week just covering insulation foam boards and drywall putty.
Amazing job. I couldn't tell this was a foam board.
Oh, thanks.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so actually all of my work is carved out of insulation foam.
Oh, wow.
So everything here is very light because I'm trying to make my life a little bit easier.
Yeah, and that's also great for shipping too.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's carved out of insulation foam, and then on top of it is a 2-part epoxy clay. So not only is it super light, but it's also impact resistant as well.
Durable, yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm sure all the galleries and curators, you're like the dream artist that has everything thought of. Can we talk about your creative process? How do ideas come to you?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm originally from Canada.
Okay, nice.
So nature is a huge part of my inspiration. Yeah. Also, living in America compared to Canada, everything just seems a little bit more extreme for some reason. Yeah. Lately, things have felt very extreme. So I really only started doing art recently, during the pandemic, sort of. Yeah. I was a graphic designer for many years.
Oh, nice.
And then I thought, my God, do I want to die in a pandemic in New York City as a graphic designer? Yeah. No, I don't. So I sort of started doing this, and I think that catalyst of are we all going to die is something that I think about often, and I think it still resonates with a lot of people that we sort of lived through something so significant. Oh
wow, I love that. And I have to say, I love how your personal style transfers to your work. Your eye makeup looks so cool.
Oh, thanks.
And it's the carpet, the reflection back onto you almost. It's the art never ends. Art imitates life in a way. I love that. And how did you what was the inspiration for this booth? Was it based on the wall part, or you had are these all new work or existing work that you had?
Yeah, so the inspiration was, so I guess I should describe what we're looking at. I've got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sort of boards of what look almost like concrete. I'm sort of calling it a post-apocalyptic Stonehenge.
Love that.
Post-apocalyptic Stonehenge. Yeah. So I'm sort of thinking it almost as a cathedral, or what's left. I'm sort of thinking a lot about if we do get taken out, which is why the name of the show is Mother Nature's Bitch, because we all are.
We live
and breathe per her, you know, allowing us to continue.
The HBIC,
That's
Mother Nature, right?
So, it's just about, if we are all wiped out, what do we leave behind, and what do people think is most important to us?
Yeah.
What, you know, cultures previously, it's like, oh, they worship cats or they worship the sun, and it's like we only think that because of what has managed to survive and what's been left behind. So for us, like, what does that look like? What fills our vaults? What's the most important thing to us? You know?
I love that. And how do ideas come to you? Is it like in the daytime, nighttime?
I mean, gosh, I would say that I'm definitely a night person. I'm trying to be better about, you know, making the most of my day. But I think that also goes back to the pandemic too. It's like, for me, the feeling of no expectations and no obligations is like a really freeing.
It was like creative freedom. Totally,
exactly.
Right?
So I feel like I work best when I know everyone else is not working. So it makes me feel a little bit better. So I'm definitely sort of a night owl, I suppose.
I love that. And do you have any studio like rituals? Like when you get to the studio, you're able to like close the door, get to work right away? Or do you have to have like a coffee, meditate, read the newspaper or something like that?
I'm definitely a coffee person. I try to do that. I meditate. I would love to be that
to be able
person,
to do it, right?
You know,
I know.
I'm not like I'm not. I, you know, it's just not me. But I guess it's sort of. I don't force myself to do it if I'm not feeling it. Like it really has to be something that I'm into. And when I do work, it's like straight through. I don't stop. I don't take breaks or whatever. So I'm very.
What's your sign?
I'm Sagittarius.
Oh, Sagittarius. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Why is that?
No. Because the Scorpios. I'm a Scorpio, but we're very much like that.
Okay.
So I thought you were a Scorpio too. Like
Close.
when we do.
Almost on the cusp, the 25th. So it's a little bit.
Yeah, like the trouble with meditating, the start and work and never stop. You know, like the complete ambition. Love to work at nighttime. You know, I can totally relate to that. And can you tell us about like what you're working on like until the end of the year? Do you have anything coming up after this?
Yeah. So obviously the floral and fauna is kind of like a major theme of mine.
Yeah.
So I'm working right now on. I'm actually trying to work smaller, a little bit smaller, because you know.
Really? Because this is a great size.
Yeah, it's not bad, but
is
it's
this like a one shape, or are you able to? Are they like attached pieces? The work you're showing.
You mean like to the walls?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the walls are not part of it; they're just for the installation.
No, like I mean, this is like a whole one piece, or are they like pieces that come together?
Oh, good question. Yeah. So the larger ones are split into two pieces.
Oh, nice.
Just so I don't drive myself.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was like, wow.
It's a lesson that I had to learn by slowly going crazy.
Yeah.
So these two are two pieces.
Oh, nice.
And then the large one, which is titled Wet, is the top. Petals are one piece, and then the bottom is all one piece.
Oh, nice. I love how your work, like just visually, like me looking at it before I asked you this question, it's very seamless.
Oh, nice.
So you can't even see where they meet, which
That's
I love
lovely
that.
To hear.
That's
it's
perfect for
nice.
like, you know, shipping to clients and everything like that. And do you think being from Canada has like impacted your work? Like, do you find certain pieces or parts that you're like, oh, this definitely reminds me, you know, because you said nature, how nature is important to you.
Right.
And I see a lot of like love for nature and flowers and gardens.
Well, sort of the ongoing theme is the North Star. So you can see this one right here. This one's called North Shore. It's got the North Star in it. The North Star is on that one as well. And so it's sort of like my putting myself almost in the pieces, because that's sort of what I think of home is like, that's my North Star. That's my,
I love that.
You know, so.
I love that. And do you have it like, how do you keep track of your ideas? Like, do you write them down? Do you draw everything?
Yeah, so I like to sketch by hand, but like super roughly.
Yeah.
Usually I sketch by hand. It's just about concept and layout, and I don't really get into like the nitty-gritty of it all. When I start to really develop a piece, if I'm really interested in pursuing it, I'll move into Adobe Illustrator.
Oh, nice.
And so from there I'll sort of work like almost just like a flat vector. And then from there I'm sort of able to extrapolate, you know, to push things further back or to pull things forward and you know, create more depth that way.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure to give listeners your exact location. We're at the Artist Spotlight section. So it's definitely a must-see her booth. But yeah, for sure. And can you say your Instagram one more time for the listeners?
Yeah, for sure. So it's Sarah with an H, Angele, which is Angele, and then Wilson.
Perfect. Congratulations. It's a really great booth. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed talking to you and getting the whole background of your booth. Definitely good vibes. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online.